Okay, reading from the Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa, chapter 4, text 1. Jaya jaya Sri Caitanya jaya Nityananda jaya Dvaita Chandra jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya jaya kṛpā-sindhu jaya Gauracandra jaya jaya sakala-maṅgala-pada-dvandva. All glories to Gauracandra, the ocean of mercy. All glories to his auspicious lotus feet. Om Jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya chaksur unmulatam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Caitanya-mano Bhishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha kṛpā-sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So greetings from New Jersey. Kind of waiting to go now to Vrindavan, maybe for Kartik, maybe a little longer. It's very strange now how you get visas, at least for the visa that I'm getting. You first have to apply to qualify to apply. So I was qualified to apply. Now I have to apply. Different types of visas. So I have a particular type of visa that I have to do that. But I'm looking forward to going and checking out the development of the very small ashram that I'm kind of renovating there. Yeah. And I assume I'll be here at least another 3 weeks, but you can't buy a ticket to Vrindavan. So we'll see where Krishna wants me. I go where there is service. So we'll see where there is service for me. We're starting a new chapter. I don't see the title here, and I'd have to go too far back to kind of find it. Well, let me just go find the title of the chapter. Wow, it's really good. Description of Sri Achyutananda's pastimes and the worship of Sri Madhavendra. So that's going to be interesting. So, there's a lot of points that are repeated. There's descriptions of Lord Chaitanya's ecstasy, his astika sattvika bhavs, the different emotional things that he experiences, and the kirtan. And so many points are repeated because this is really Rasa Shastra. It's an experience of God. Just like we chant Hare Krishna again and again and again and again. And eventually we shouldn't consider that a static experience, as Prabhupada said. It's ecstatic, a nice way to use words. But there's some dynamicism in that, because it's not just intellectual, it's experiential. It's not just about understanding, it's about feeling. And hopefully feelings of love. And if there's feelings of love, then Vayamnatu Vitriptatma Uttama Shloka Vartate Yatrinvitam Rasaganam Swadupide. Quote that verse a lot. You don't become tired. Because love is ultimate pleasure and universal love. Love of God is the highest pleasure. So you don't become tired. So here again, what's happening is just glorification. Glorification. To help you feel mercy, help you attract mercy, help you feel God's love, help you to inspire you. Because the greater the distance between the value of what you get and your qualification for it, the more love you will feel upon receiving it. So this glorifies, and that itself is a mood of devotion, bhakti sanjayate bhakti. It also helps you to come in touch with your real self. And your real self is humility and prayer. Your real self is devotion and compassion. So it's a mood of humility and devotion. And it clarifies your consciousness and mind so that you can actually have the realization to appropriately explain something that can only be understood if it is given to you. So kṛpā-sindhu, ocean of mercy. Ocean is a metaphor for something that is vast and immeasurable. So how can God's mercy not be vast and immeasurable? Especially Lord Chaitanya, because he is patita pavana hetu. His cause is the people who are very fallen. Yeah, if you look at your advancement in Krishna consciousness, it's all mercy. How did we come? How do we have this mercy? It's causeless mercy. We can never earn what we are given. And that's a principle of Krishna consciousness, which is why utsaha nishchaya daryat, because you become patient, because you can't quantify the goal. You can't earn the goal. So whatever suffering, whatever effort, whatever, you don't demand, you don't feel entitled. You just wait humbly. And God's mercy is inconceivable. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Nyasi Raj. Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Bhakta Samaj. All glories to Sri Chaitanya, the best of the sannyasis. All glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Usually a mangala-charan, or an invocation to invoke auspiciousness, glorifies God, Guru, God, and the devotees. Generally, there's some benedictions also. So Bhakata Samaj, the assembly of devotees, how glorious. Because the devotees are a glorification of God, because they represent his mercy. Pure devotees are a glorification of God, because as Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, your mercy is all that I am made of. So Hena Mate Prabhur Sarva Jiva Udharya Mataraya Shalilena Bhakta Goshdalai. After delivering all living entities in this way, the Lord departed for Mathura along with his devotees. So this is the long journey. After taking sannyas, he stops in Puri for some time, not a long time. And then he heads off. He has the inspiration to go to Mathura or to Vrindavan. And what does he do? He goes there, Henamati Prabhu Sarva Jiva Udharya, after the deliverance of the jivas. So that's kind of a nice thought. We do our duty and we go to Vrindavan. That's a nice thought. And then in Vrindavan, we do our duty. Ganga Tire Prabhu Leelena Pata Snana Pane Purana Gangara Manorata. The Lord took the path along the side of the Ganges and fulfilled her desire by bathing in and drinking her waters. So one who has intelligence, Krishnavanam Tvasha Krishnam Sango Pangasta Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Praya Yajanti Hi Sumedisaha. One who's intelligent, he wants the mercy of God. Because that drop of love in our hearts is the greatest gift, because the goal is happiness. And the greatest happiness is the mercy of God. The greatest happiness is that love and purity in our heart. So that connection with God. So even the Ganges, it wants that connection to God, and the Lord walking along the side of the Ganga. And those were the days of India. When I came, India was so simple. You could just live there with nothing and walk on the bank of the Ganges. You know, I was just thinking of it, the internet, we're using it. It's pulling out, Prabhupada said, it's pulling out a thorn with a thorn. So the media is the destruction. So the media, we have to remove the media with the media, kind of speak. We have to solve the media with the media, but the media is a problem. You know, previously when someone wanted to speak, you get on a soapbox and, you know, or you get on his front porch. But if anybody told you that in the future, anybody, that we'd have a medium where anybody could approach the whole world, I don't think we'd be very happy about it. And the people who dominate it often are not the people that are the most evolved, because of the nature of the media. People who are very evolved will be very, very cautious how they use that media. Of course, some who are great acharyas will figure out a way how to use it in a very effective way. But generally, the predominant users of the media, it's just a reflection of someone being captured in a lower mode of passion or ignorance, really. So I'm just thinking of India before there was everything. But how it becomes covered. Prabhupada was driving from Delhi to Vrindavan and starting to see even then factories being built up, and he said, Anad Bhavanti Bhutani, not Abhav, Anad Bhavanti Goodyear. It's not that all, not Goodyear Bhavanti Bhutani. Bhavani Bhutani, all living entities, Bhavani, subsist on Ana grains, Anad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyad Anasambhava. All living beings subsist on food grains. Prabhupada said, not Goodyear, not rubber. But then he sees that on the sides of the roads, they're developing these things, these material civilizations. So it's just this image of Lord Chaitanya walking on the bank of the Ganga. Godira Nikate Ganga Tire Ekagram Brahmana Samaj Tara Rama Keli Nam. There is one village on the bank of the Ganges near the capital of Godha named Ramakeli. The inhabitants of that village were all Brahmins. So the purports, which are translations of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he gives elaborate descriptions of these places so that hopefully one day we can visit. I was reading the descriptions. This is the village where Rupa and Sanatan lived. This is the village where they met Lord Chaitanya. It's an incredible description. I'm thinking, wow, if I didn't hate traveling so much, and if traveling wasn't so difficult in India, I would love to visit this village as an inspiration. Things connected to people whom you revere and love connected to people that you revere and love invoke affection for them in your heart. And great devotees, affection for them is affection for God. So it's a great inspiration. So this village of Ramakeli, one day maybe we all have to visit it. I don't know, people used to be able to retire. Now people have to work until death. Things are standard of living has gone down because money is worth so much less. I remember when, my family owned a house in Brooklyn. They were middle class. I remember my father would give my mother $200 every week. He was a dress contractor. He had a loft in Harlem. We didn't have a lot of money. People lived different. We never bought a new car. We always had a used car, and we went to some mechanic to get it fixed. Remember that, but we had a nice house. So things have been advanced. Now people don't have a nice place to stay, but they have a phone. So this is the village of Ramakeli. So maybe I'll read a little. Just look at Bhaktisiddhanta's mood. He explains Sri Ramakeli is situated 8.5 miles south of English Bazaar, near the present city of Malda. Within this village, there is a concrete paved area. In the middle of this, there is a large tamal tree with 2 kadamba trees on each side. So tamal tree represents Krishna and kadamba tree represents Radha. I remember in Govardhan, and it was already way, way down from hundreds of years ago. There was this forest on Govardhan, not there anymore, of tamal trees and kadamba trees. And tamal trees are dark, they represent Krishna, and kadamba trees are light, they represent Radha. The 2 trees on the right side are referred to as Advaita. The middle tamal tree is referred to as Sri Gauracandra, and the 2 kadamba trees on the left side are referred to Sri Nityananda. It is said that Sriman Mahaprabhu first met Rupa and Sanatan Prabhu in the dead of night under this tree. So how inspiring will that be? Sitting in this place, Sriman Mahaprabhu instructed Sri Sanatan to join him. Next to the kadamba trees, there is a small temple wherein Sri Madan Mohan Dev is worshipped. The deity of Madan Mohan Dev was established by Sri Rupa and Sanatan. There are 4 sets of deities within the temple. One of those sets is Baladev and Ravati. The names of the deity from left are Vraja Mohan with Radha, Revati Ramana with Revati, and Madan Mohan and Gopinath both with Radha. There are also Shalagram Shilas in the temple. In the midst, the deities, there are two deities of Gauracandra, Sri Gauracandra, one of Advaita and one of Nityananda. There are 125 bighas of land, about 42 acres, allotted to the service of the deities. So nice, living in a village and small town, and then there's a deity, and then you walk to the deities. You can't get to anything here with a car in Vrindavan. I don't need a car. I got the whole world within 20 minutes walk, 5,000 temples. And as I'm saying this, my hankering for the Dham is, I'm going to pull the trigger tomorrow and send the application in for the visa. By Krishna's grace, within 3 weeks, I can be there just before Kartik. From the public, a sum of 122 rupees was collected, out of which 80 rupees was given to the government. I know what show that's about. North of Sri Madan Mohan Temple is Sri Sanatan Kund. Around that place are 8 other kunds headed by Radha Kund, Shama Kund, Lalita Kund, the Vishaka Kund. A little distance from here is a large lake named Sri Rupa Sagar, which was established by Srila Rupa Goswami. This Rupa Sagar is situated between Sri Madan Mohan Temple and the courts of Hussain Shah. The bathing ghats of Rupa Sagar are covered with marble. On one of those marble slabs is written, this Rupa Sagar Ghat of Sri Ramakeli was built from donations of the mercantile communities of the Malda district of Bengal. The water covers about 3.5 acres, and with the banks, it covers about 6.5 acres. So anyway, it gives a whole description. One day we will go there. Dinachari Pascha Prabhu se Punya Stane Asya Rahila Yena Keha Nahi Jani. The Lord came to that holy place and stayed there for 4 or 5 days without the knowledge of others. So that's because, right now, Siyanta Lila, he's into the internal reason, the Antaranga Hetu for his appearance, his internal reason for his appearance. And it's internal. And when you do bhajan, that's why COVID's been really good for me. I'm isolated. Everyone's going to work or school. I'm here all alone. There's no distraction. So when you want to chant, you have to have a time and place to do so. And if it's mixed with other stimulus, like a computer or a phone, or family, or friends, the samskaras are going to draw you, the impressions and attachments for those things are going to draw you outside, draw you external. And the whole idea of meditation is to reverse the consciousness which is flowing outside and to reverse it so that it flows inside. So there's no wonder why Lord Chaitanya is going here to without others, especially a holy place. When you come to a holy place, you don't want to come with an entourage. You may have a service. For the service of God, I must be guru. For the service of God, I must be the center of a group of people. But you don't want to have a tinge of that consciousness when you come to the holy Dham. How is it possible to hide the sun everyone soon heard about Lord Chaitanya's arrival. So this is the concept we discussed many times of self-effulgent, that a person's greatness doesn't have to be advertised by others. It becomes apparent by who he is. I was thinking in one sense that, I guess, let's see, one, two, yeah, there were 4 people here that were at my Vyas Puja. But it's held in Newburgh at this beautiful hall. Wow, it was great. It was a perfect place. It was so pleasant. And I came a few days earlier. And I stayed with the Raval family. And I told you that there's 4 doctors. Right now there are 3 doctors living there, and 1 IT person is living there. So, and then their wives, and then each person has 2 or 3 children, and they have Radha Krishna deities. And then the mother is there. The father passed away. The mother does not waste a minute in Krishna consciousness, not a minute. Even when she's sitting with the family, she has a little iPad listening to lectures. She's chanting all day long. She's worshiping the deities or chanting mantras all day long. There's not a minute. There's not a minute. So no one's advertising her, but it becomes so evident. It becomes just so evident. So evident. So for Lord Chaitanya, you can't hide a person of that level of devotion. Sarvaloka dekite aise harshamane stribalaka vridha adi shajana durjane. Everyone, women, children, old people, pious persons, and sinners, joyfully came to see the Lord. So you can't hide, and then everyone wanted to see. And this is Indian culture. It's Bharate Bhuma Hoila, Manusha Jadmayara, Janma Sartakakara, Kara Para Upa. Bharate Bhuma Hoila, Manusha Janmayara. Manusha Janma, the birth of people in India, it's something special. It's something special. Jara. So they have some respect for saints, at least they used to. This is 500 years ago. And Lord Chaitanya was self-effulgent. He was beautiful. There's going to be descriptions when they report to the king, who also, this was near the capital of Bengal at the time, which is called Gaudadesh. Niravari Prabhur Avesh Maya Anga Prema Bhakti Vina Adi Nahi Konaranga. The Lord was fully absorbed in ecstasy. He did not relish anything other than loving devotional service. That's what creates the effulgence. He did not relish anything other. Prema Bhakti Vina, without bhakti. Adi Ranga, he did not relish. He didn't have that Ranga. He did anything else. That was his taste. And the Lord was therefore Avesh Maya Anga. He was absorbed in ecstasy. Because that's when you get ecstasy. After Nishta becomes Ruchi, when there's nothing else in your life but God, then there's real taste. And the example I gave is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Rasaham apso kaunteya, I am the taste of pure water. I'm the taste of pure water. I am the taste of pure water. So there's nothing but water. And that's when water is tasty. When it's mixed, it doesn't have taste. So when you really, and this is even in our life, not this morning, I was pretty regulated and fixed, and the chanting was good. And then there's taste. I describe what is practice is when you have concentration without interruption over a period of time, in the right mood. Then there's taste, there's realization. And therefore, in Lord Chaitanya's condition of samadhi, where he's completely absorbed to the extent that sometimes he's not even aware that there's anything outside of the object of his meditation in his mind, then hunkara, garjana, kompa, pulaka, krandana, nirantara, achara, padaye, gana. He roared, cried out, trembled, and shed tears. The hairs of his body stood on end, and he repeatedly fell to the ground with great force. How many times have we heard this in every chapter, several times in a chapter? Are we supposed to get bored with it when we hear the same thing over again? Lord Chaitanya had astika, sattvika bhavs. He had 8 different emotional expressions. They're so powerful. His devotion is so powerful that he's having bodily transformations. Hena se krandana prabhu karina dakya loke shune krosha kera pahate takya. The Lord cried so loudly that people 2 miles away could hear him. So it's emotion. This is bhakti. This is the highest emotion. It's powerful, and it's coming sattvika bhav. It's coming from the pure consciousness. Yajyapiha bhakti rasa asha sarva loka tatapya prabhu deki sabara shantosh. Although the people were ignorant about the mellows of devotional service, they were pleased to see the Lord. So that again, same concept. That piety that's inborn in proper cultures to respect sadhus. I'm also thinking of our Vyasa Puja. You know, we worked with the Bliss Kitchen, and they made some incredible preparations like that jackfruit sabji and that aloo banda. And I think they made the rice and one chutney. And they cook quite a few things. And handvi. So they cooked many things. And when Jai Subhadra went to pay Haridas, the oldest son who runs the restaurant, he said, "We're not accepting any payment. This is our offering to Maharaj." And he said, "We didn't want to tell you before because we didn't want you to order any less things." So that's his culture of his family. It's ingrained in him. Whenever I go to his restaurant, New Paltz, he doesn't accept any payment. So people respect sadhus. That's not just coming from the fact that he's in Krishna consciousness. It's coming the fact that he's from a pious family from India who before Krishna consciousness had that culture, and they imbibed it in their children. So even the people didn't know about Bhakti Rasa Agya. They were unaware of Bhakti Rasa. Still, Prabhu Deki, when they saw the Lord, Sabara Santosh, they were all Santosh. They were all so satisfied. Duri take sarvaloka dandavat kari shabe mele ucha kari bali hari hari. People offered their obeisance from a distance and loudly chanted together the name of Hari. You see in the Krishna-katha Mandir, so many people come in. They're karmis, they're gyanis, they're bogies, they're, all kinds of people come in. But they have no qualm about chanting Hare Krishna and dancing wildly. And offering respects to God. So people offered obeisance and loudly began to chant. Suni matra prabhu harinam loke muke visheshe ulas bhadhe premananda shuke. As the Lord heard the name of Hari from the mouths of the people, the happiness he relished in ecstatic love increases. Because this is the love is happiness, and there's two types of love. One is there's three types of love. One is madhurya, the love of intimate relationships. One is viraha, vipralamba, the love of separation. And one is odarya, the love of compassion. And love is happiness. This is spiritual love. So when he heard that others were coming to Krishna consciousness, his happiness increased. His happiness. And what is love? Love is the happiness that you get from the pleasure of another. So what is God's love? God's love is the happiness of his devotees. Bola, Prabhu Bale Bahi Tu Visheshe Bholena Shabe Aya Katuhale. The Lord raised his arms and exclaimed, chant, chant, chant. And the people responded with great enthusiasm. Henase Ananda Prakasena Gora Roy Yavane Obale Hari Anyera Kidor. Lord Gauranga manifested such activities that what to speak of others, even the Yavanas chanted the name of Hari. So there are various mystic powers. If you follow the rules of behavior perfectly, they give you some power. God has constructed this world. Sahayagya prajashrishva parovachi prajapati anena pasavishyadvam yeshavo ishakamadu. Sahayagya prajashri. With sacrifice. Because sacrifice brings you closer to the soul. Nayam lokas lokasya kutanya kuru satana. Without sacrifice, there's no happiness in this life or the next. So sometimes one is rewarded for sacrifice. So one becomes attracted to sacrifice. It's not pure, but it's moving one and elevating one in the mood of sacrifice, because the ultimate consciousness is ajishyava padaradham panastumam adarshanam mamahatam. It's the ultimate sacrifice. Love of God, the gopis. You may be brokenhearted before me by not being before me. You may crush me by your embrace, but you're my Lord, birth after birth. Is stepping out of the center, that think of others before yourself. So these things are encouraged. And one way they're encouraged, at least in the yogic system, is that if you behave properly in relationship to yourself or others, there is a prakritik, a material benefit. And one thing is, for example, if one can perfect nonviolence, there's such an energy of peace that comes from one that it says not even a mongoose and a cobra, the most deadly enemies, the mongoose, not even the mongoose and the cobra will display enmity in front. And then there's a potency, a spiritual potency of prema bhakti that has tremendous influence to inspire others to chant. We know in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that the highest devotee is just by seeing him, one becomes inspired to chant the holy name. Yavane o dure take kari namaskar. Hena Gauracandra karunya avatar. Even the Yavan is offered obeisances from a distance. Such is the merciful incarnation of Lord Gauracandra. So, Kirata Huninda Pulinda Pulkasa. Yavana. The verse that Kirata, Hunandra, Pulinda, Pulkasa, Ambira, Yavana, Krishadaya. It mentions people who their birth would be sinful. They can become purified by the mercy of a devotee. So here are the Yavanas, considered as sinful people. But still, they become influenced. Tila deke prabhu nahika anya karma niranta layoyena sankirtan dharma. The Lord had no engagement other than inducing everyone to participate in the Sankirtan movement. He's the Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Trishe Namaha. Namo Mahabhadanaya. He has the greatest magnanimity. And therefore, he's only concerned with getting people, inducing them, inspiring them to purify their hearts by chanting Hare Krishna. Chatur dika hoite loka aisi dekite dekiya kaharo chitta maloya yati. People came from the four directions to see the Lord. After seeing them, they did not feel like leaving, because he induced within them and awakened their soul. And the purpose of yoga is to live in the soul, to live in those feelings of service and devotion and humility and compassion and gratitude. And that's invoked by the presence of a great soul. What to speak of God as a great soul? What to speak of a great soul as a great soul? So they did not want to leave his presence. Sabe mele anande karena haridvane nirantara chatur dheki ara nahi shune. They all joyfully chanted the names of Hari No other sound could be heard in the four directions. Nikate Yavane Raja Parama Durbhara Taha Piha Chitte Bhaya Najanme Kahara. Although the most cruel Yavana king lived nearby, no one was afraid of him. So India was ruled by the Muslims, the Mughals. And it was a dictatorship. So people were afraid of him, but was saying no one was afraid of him. It meant the devotees. Because the qualification of devotion is that you become fearless. Because you're situated on the platform of the soul. And you have complete faith that God will protect you. And you have that experience by living a life of dharma and devotion. So you become fearless. Prabhupada was a boy charan. That was his name. And I get initiated as a boy charan out of India, one who is fearless, having taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. So they became fearless. They became so absorbed that the mental vacillation, and when you surrender Sharanagati, that means you have a shelter. And that shelter is your protection. That shelter gives you love. That shelter is your authority. It's an authority in life, in knowledge. And when you come in contact with that and you're convinced that this is the shelter, then you actually experience that he will protect you. That in all instances, God does what is best. That's what faith is. In all instances, God does what's best. So they're not afraid of him. Nirboya hoya sarva loke bale hari dukha shoka griha karma shakale pasade. People forgot their distress, lamentation, and household duties as they fearlessly chanted the name of Hari. They fearlessly chanted the name of Hari. And they forgot. Just like when Akrura came to Vrindavan, and he was the minister of Kamsa. And Kamsa sent him to bring Krishna to kill him. So if any of his devotion for Krishna was revealed, it would be very, very dangerous, because also Kamsa had many, many spies. But immediately he got down from his chariot and rolled in the dust, completely fearless, completely fearless. Okay, now the chief of police now is going to inform the king about this sannyasi coming, and that's a new section. So Jaya, at what point did you appreciate today?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for class. I really appreciated that definition of faith. It's such a succinct thing. In all instances, God knows what is best. That's like boom. That's the thing. So I really, really appreciated that. And and that brings the quality of fearlessness. It's such a beautiful definition. So thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Chamuna Jaya. Haribo. Great. Good. Anybody else want to share a reflection, something they appreciated from class?
Okay, so Jamuna Jaya, she totally stole mine. I was going to say the exact same thing.
A bunch of thieves.
But I also did like, and I always love your definition of shelter, that multi-dimensional aspects of shelter, protection, affection, authority. I think you even mentioned something else, but I forget, but that's,
I forget too, because I made it up on the spot. So I hope I'm right. Okay. Okay, Gail. Thank you. Did you get back home without spilling all the prasad on your husband's new car?
Oh yeah, he made sure of that.
Huh?
He made sure of that, boy.
He seems to be a very tolerant person.
Yeah. We do well together for that reason.
What are you going to do with the 200 lotus?
Oh, well, they're down to just about 2 now. All thanks to him, by the way.
He likes sweets, huh?
Oh yeah, big time sweet tooth.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Gautama Prabhudas.
Good. Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much for the class. I was actually meditating on 2 points you mentioned. One was you pick a thorn with a thorn in relationship to the social media. And then you were mentioning about how non-violence creates this energy of peace. And I was thinking of how people inflict so much non-violence through social media, especially emotional non-violence and saying things that are not really helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Maharaj.
Okay, nice to see you.
Good to
You're
see you,
in New
Maharaj.
York City? You live in New York City?
Yes, Maharaj, in New York City.
Okay. Is there a Harinam on Sunday?
Last Sunday was canceled, but this Sunday we might have. And there's also the Atlantic Antique Festival by the Brooklyn Temple. They're participating in this big street fair, like the biggest in the city. Like 1 million people are expected.
On Sunday?
Yeah, that's the Atlantic Antique Festival.
The Atlantic Antique?
Yeah, it's like a street fair, and the Brooklyn Temple will have their tent. So they'll do prasadam distribution, book distribution, and things like that.
Wow. Atlantic Avenue is a really huge street. It's kind of wide too, right? And
they're expecting about 1 million people in the whole day for that festival. So it's pretty huge.
A lot of various diversity of ethnicities live on Atlantic Avenue, right?
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
Okay. So the Govinda's restaurant will be there.
Yes, they'll be there. The Harinam boys will be there. So it'll be nice.
Okay, Haribo. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for the class. Thank you.
Haribo, nice to see you again. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay. I one more person. I see the list of everyone who's there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Govinda.
Haribo.
Well, thank you for class.
That was a great cashew sauce subji.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And the eggplant, spinach, garbanzo beans. It was a good one. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to have to go now. So I see who's there. Thank you all for coming. Bunch of Kopa through this kṛpā-sindhu.